Since being read his Miranda rights, bombing suspect Johar Tsarnaev has not spoken to investigators. But when he did, he told interrogators the two brothers were driven by hardline Islamist views and anger over the U.S. wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. He also said they acted alone, without outside help. The day after the Boston attack, Johar Tsarnaev spoke with a college friend at the gym.
And he was saying, yeah, it's really a tragedy that it's happening right now. It's a sad thing. Things happen like this in Afghanistan and other places around the world, and people here aren't used to it.
So what might have turned these brothers into radicalized Islamists bent on jihad? Joining me via Skype is Evan Coleman, an NBC News terrorism analyst and senior partner at Flashpoint Global Partners, and Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy and author of A Battle for the Soul of Islam. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to see you.
Morning. Good morning, Chris.
Let's just set a baseline here, Dr. Jasser. What does it mean to be a self-radicalized Islamist?
Well, I think when you say self, it almost appears as if they came out of nowhere and out of the person's own mind. But I believe an Islamist is a political movement. It's a global movement like the Muslim Brotherhood that believes government should be based in the Islamic State, Islamic Quranic constitution, and Sharia law. They view American government, which is based in reason and secular law, to be an anathema, to be un-Islamic, and to be their enemy. So radicalization happens when they take that political ideology and more slide towards a militant movement to defeat Western secularism or liberalism versus doing it through democratic or evangelistic mechanisms.
Understanding that we're working with a limited profile here and that we're learning more stuff every day. From people who knew him, Tamerlan apparently said recently, I don't have a single American friend. I don't understand them. He quit boxing, something he apparently loved, couldn't go out for the Olympic team because he wasn't a full citizen. He was accused of hitting his girlfriend. His father left the country. But how do you go from there? Because there are a lot of 20-something guys who don't seem to have found a purpose, doctor, to becoming a terrorist.
Well, this is such an important thing because it doesn't happen overnight. That separatism that he had, he wasn't, we keep saying what made him American was his boxing, his sports, his public school. No, the American identity is based on believing in a system of government that all people have equal access to government, all people can be of any stripe, any faith. And the problem is the milieu, the USA Today has an excellent investigative report by Oren Durrell that looks at some of the milieu in Boston where you had Afia Siddiqui, Tariq Mahena. These people were convicted of helping al-Qaeda. Mahena got 17 years last year, was praying at the same mosque. The mosque may not have been advocating violence, but yet the separatism where they said America was against Muslims, anti-Islam, that feeds into how people like Nidal Hassan, who has the same background as me, may turn out to be enemies versus people like me who grew up in a family that tell us we can be more Muslim in America than anywhere else in the world. I grew up in love with this country and this Constitution, so I'm inoculated against radicalization versus those that grew up in a pool that can radicalize them because they feel this country is their enemy and not their ally that gives them freedom.
Here's what Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano said about reasons behind radicalization.
When we look at Boston and Aurora and Tucson and Newtown and other events, one thing that is more and more clear is that we really don't have a clear understanding of the path that leads someone to become not just radical, but to act out in a violent way motivated by a jihadist ideology or another type of ideology.
And Evan, I know you spend a lot of your time online tracking different sites that folks use. How easy is it for someone who may want to learn more about this to fuel that online?
It's actually, unfortunately, fairly remarkably easy. I mean, if you want to get access to Inspire magazine, the magazine put out by al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, which shows you how to build a pressure cooker bomb, and supposedly which was reviewed by the Tsarnaev brothers, all you have to do is run a Google search.
Yeah, and can I say, Evan, because you and I were emailing back and forth, I thought it had to be a joke, honestly, because the headline of that article you talk about said, "How to make a bomb in the kitchen of your mom." I mean, almost like a joke.
Yeah, in a very glib way, but that's exactly what al-Qaeda is seeking to achieve. They're seeking to reach people who, they're not looking to reach morons, they're looking to reach people who are fairly intelligent, who are capable, and for one reason or another simply do not feel like they fit into American society. I think there's a lot of different paths to radicalization. In this case, what al-Qaeda is seeking to do is to say, look, you're upset about this, you're upset about that. The reason why you're upset is really because you're living in an infidel society and because you're being oppressed by the apostates and the disbelievers. And it's a very convenient ideology. You simply blame all your problems on somebody else. And al-Qaeda says the solution is to set off bombs in your own neighborhood. And that's what's amazing about Inspire magazine is that it states very specifically there, tips for brothers from the United States of America. Don't come here. Stay where you are. Carry out attacks where you are. If you want to kill the snake, strike at the head. Well, so, I mean, it's very, very specific.
You know, I think that we saw some things in the background of the older brother that we didn't see necessarily, at least from what we know so far, about the younger brother. He looks so casual, Dr. Jasser, on that video where he is at the Boston Marathon that it gives me chills still every time I see it. This is also a kid who was excited to go to prom. I think that was just his prom picture, who volunteered with a Best Buddies program. A high school teacher said he had a heart of gold. Is this an anomaly, or will finding out what happened to him help us understand how to stop it from happening again?
I don't believe it's an anomaly. All these things together cannot be ignored, and I get a little frustrated to see us in this repeated pattern of the ADD, attention to the issue, and then we don't continue to develop programs, because it doesn't happen overnight. This kid was given a key to heaven by his older brother and realized that all of a sudden all the little things on earth don't matter. He can become a jihadist, a martyr, and do things to really leave his mark, and he was impressionable, and it happened. And, you know, we can fix this, and I'm looking for, I hope, the Muslim community, many of us, to wake up and take ownership of this. Not that they could have found this individual, but this is not a new normal. There is a process. Islamic issues need to be reformed into modernity. Honor killings, so many different battlefronts that happen. This guy was abusing his girlfriend, was arrested in 2009. That's not a coincidence in the radicalization process, but yet we just want to put up our hands and drive by and say, well, nothing to see here, keep moving along. His religious theology doesn't matter. It's not my Islam, but it's certainly a version that we need to address and attack frontally and get down that 12-step program and say, the first step, this is our issue. Only we can fix this in reforming the ideas.
Dr. Zuhdi Jasser and Evan Coleman, thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.